Mark Mitchell.
The previous speaker said that the government, the National Party, had moved the posts, and that's right, we have moved the posts, and I'm actually very proud about that. I want to acknowledge the Honourable Judith Collins, because for too long, Mr Speaker, in this country, yes, we have a system that is built on the presumption of innocence, and that's important, and we'll never depart from that. But I don't think we've actually given proper care and consideration to victims' rights, and it's important that actually a victim is brought into the process, and I don't see anything wrong in actually putting a victim's rights ahead of an offender's rights. Mr Speaker, I would like to acknowledge the families that appeared in front of the Select Committee, because that was a tough process for them to go through. But it was critically important for us as a committee, because sometimes we can sit in this sanitised environment down here, and to actually hear the stories and to be able to understand the huge impact that it makes on these people's lives, and will always have a huge impact on their lives, was really important to us. I want to acknowledge Tracy and Brian Marceau. I met the parents of Christy Marceau, and I met with Brian and Tracy shortly after the tragedy of when Christy was murdered. And of course, they were still, probably, to be fair to say, they were still stunned at that point. And Tracy, of course, has gone on with the support of SST to campaign on Christy's behalf. And I want to acknowledge them, and I want to acknowledge the submission that they made to the Select Committee as well, because it was compelling, and I know that it sits in the forefront of our own minds when we were dealing with this bail amendment bill. The Honourable Phil Goff, I want to acknowledge the Honourable Phil Goff and, of course, Chris Farfoy, who are on the Select Committee with us, and we worked really well together, I feel, on this bill. I want to acknowledge the chairperson, Jackie Dean, and, of course, Richard Prosser, who took the time to put those SOPs together and, like the Minister said, to get them out there early for review. Disappointed, of course, in the Greens' position. David Clendon, who always has some interesting contributions to make on the committee, it appeared that they had already taken a position on it, and that was to oppose it, which was disappointing, but in some ways doesn't surprise us. Mr Goff made an interesting comment about making sure that the process process in terms of getting offenders back to court was important, because offenders out on bail, if they're on bail for too long, are likely to offend. Well, to me, that's almost counterintuitive. If we're worried about that, then that's probably a good test to say that an offender should be remanded in custody if the clock is ticking in terms of when they're going to offend. In terms of the numbers that are going to be affected by this bill does have some real meat in it, and all I'd say to that is that if we can save one Christy Marceau from happening again, then actually this bill is doing the job that it was designed to do. So, Mr Speaker, I just want to say that this is a very, very good bill. It was a pleasure to work on it. It's certainly in line with the program that has been implemented by our Minister of Justice and Minister of Police, and I'm very happy to commend it to the House.
Richard Prosser.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm pleased to rise on behalf of New Zealand First to speak to the final reading of the Bail Amendment Bill. New Zealand First has supported this bill from the outset, and we continue to